Time now for the Educated Retirement Show with your host, Jay Kaplan. Jay discusses reverse mortgages and can answer your questions at 951-922-3532. Call lines are open at 951-922-3532. And now, here's Jay.
Yep, here's Jay. And, excuse me, I can definitely answer your questions, but you got to call me first. And if you don't want to call me, email me, bestloantoday@gmail.com. I just walked in the door here, just barely made it. I got stuck on the 60, and I think most of you know they're widening that street, which will make it safer and faster. But I always kind of like the narrow, windy thing. It was like an adventure. But today's adventure was a little bit over the top, maybe. But I am here, so welcome to the Educated Retirement Radio here on KMET 1490 AM, where we contemplate retirement and how to best prepare for retirement and how to best stay happily retired. Now, you know I am Dr. Heckham with my doctor uniform, but we better see those again. That's right. For those of us that don't do so well talking, we got this in big letters here. Very good. And anyway, I just want you to know that I am a doctor in more than one way. You know, PhD is also a doctor. So I can definitely write your prescription, okay, for more education. But I'm also graduating now to a college professor doctor. I am a college professor, PhD in education, especially on the Heckham and other reverse products, which is, as you know, as I've said before, many times should not be looked at as a loan, but more as a program. So it's not like taking out a loan, it's just taking out an insurance policy. So this is our first show of the year. So let me again wish everyone a great and happy new year. That is to all of us. And let's do that all year, every day. So let me say this, we're going to get into more of this quote later, but I don't think I can do it very well. The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. So in this case, we're not changing my name. And it's not because I'm not innocent, it's because it's true. So I'm not yet retired. But, I'm not sure that everybody should be retired unless it's something they really want to do and really want to be retired and really want to take maybe trips all the time or whatever. I do think maybe we should just stay active. I certainly still stay active, whether I like it or not. No, I like it, and I think that it helps protect us from, I hate to say growing old, because obviously we are going to do that. I'm not going to grow old because I'm already old, so that's, call me, 866-955-2233. 866-955-2233. I went to a convention with a lot of people, many older people too, that are still working, finding a way to, well, it's not that they need to work, but they want to work because that gives them a way to stay connected to other people, to other work, to feel like they really belong and that they're actually really needed. And perhaps most of all, that they're still active. So email me, bestloantoday@gmail.com. Remember to look up, email or whatever, but look up drheckham.com, drhecm.com, or theeducatedretirementradio.com. Or just email me, bestloantoday@gmail.com. And do I have a day job, you hope? I do. Other than being on the radio here. I am a loan officer a senior educator. I said that because Dennis is coming on soon, and his moniker is senior educator. My loan license number, NMLS number, is 834-565. Department of Real Estate, 792-630. And of course, you know I don't sell real estate, but I am under their umbrella. So again, give me a call. We don't need to talk about Heckams, but we should. Remember, I do love to talk about electric trains, movies, music, Bigfoot, and we want to keep challenging people, to stay ahead of the status quo. So we're going to talk about what today is, but let me just tell you that, remind you that if you were here last week, we had some fun discussing our memories of fruitcakes. No, not some of our friends, but fruitcakes that we eat. And today actually is World, not just National, World Fruitcake Toss Day. So finally something meaningful comes about from the fruitcakes that we demeaned last week. So you just simply find an empty space, and everyone tosses in their fruitcake that they were unlucky enough to get over the holidays. Do we have a fruitcake here to show anybody? No? Okay, that's probably a good thing. And if you want to check out some fun, check out the competition of fruitcake tossing, which is a big thing in Manitou Springs, Manitou, Manitou Springs, Colorado. Check it out on YouTube. It'll probably be worth the fun. So I will tell you, though, that next week, all week, is Pizza Week. So I think that you really need to get started practice, like right now. So after the show is over, let's start getting some pizza. I've got some New Year's movies I want to get into, but I think we should probably take a break and have what we call here on this show anyway, our station identification with Sean. Take it away. I really like that music. That really sets it off for me. So we could listen to 15 minutes of that, maybe? No? All right. Welcome back to the Educated Retirement Radio here on 1490. And we're going to talk a little bit about New Year's movies, because I had this scheduled to talk about last week, but the year went by before I got it out. So, Sean, do you have any favorite New Year's movies?
Not really. Not really.
Okay. Well, I should say probably most people don't, because especially at your young, ripe age, you probably go out and get crazy, which is a good thing. And I don't, because I'm, whatever. But anyway, Poseidon Adventure. I don't know if you remember the original one anyway. I don't know, was the remake also around New Year's Eve party? So we have a distinct New Year's Eve sinking around the Poseidon Adventures. Now, one of my two favorite New Year's or New Year's Eve watching movies is Radio Days. And that ended during a New Year's Eve party on a New York rooftop. Lots of nostalgia in that one. Rosemary's Baby was, my wife said, I didn't really remember the New Year's Eve party as well as she did, but so be it. I will throw in that Rosemary's Baby is, or was, I guess, one of Stanley Kubrick's favorite movies. There's After the Thin Man, and we watched I think when we got those laser discs, we probably watched them 50 times each, so getting a little old, but they're always great films. And then the other one of the two favorites that I have would be Hudsucker Proxy, and I couldn't find the cover of that to show you. It's Coen Brothers, so it's amazing. And I think Sam Raimi was in on the writing of it, and even Bruce Campbell had a bit part in it. And the famous Oldsmobile, the yellow one, was in there someplace. But all of Hudsucker Proxy happens, and then, flashbacks close to midnight on New Year's Eve, and he in charge of the whole universe is the guy tending the clock at the top of the tower of Hudsucker Tower. So again, it's who Coen Brothers look at real history and Wall Street history, and through the eyes of hula hoops and frisbees. So if you haven't seen that, it's great. Ocean's 11, remember the big heist on New Year's Eve? And that was with the original Rat Pack. I don't remember they've got, Ocean's 11, 12, whatever, all the way. How about Strange Days? The Y2K adventure, New Year's Eve, big time. And The Time Machine. Now, The Time Machine was on, was it yesterday? Or was it on New Year's Day? Okay, I guess that wasn't yesterday. And so I did watch a whole bunch of that. I love the part in that movie, the original one, where at the beginning, where it's on the 5th or something, then there's a flashback to New Year's Eve, and then it shows him going through all of the ages and what's going on, and the mannequin he falls in love with across the street. Not the same mannequin I used on my show that other time. But that's just great stuff. So before we give it a break again, let's start with some famous people's birthdays. J.R.R. Tolkien was born in 1892, and he earned his wings and left Middle-earth in 1973. Of course, we should all remember The Hobbit, which popped out in 1937. Lord of the Rings, the trilogy. Let me see. These are movies of them. These are nice multi-disc movies. These came out before Blu-ray, but so be it. These are the special edition ones. And yes, I've got the Blu-ray ones also, but there's one. Return of the... that's the last one, but that's okay. I'm a little out of order anyway. And The Two Towers, which I think we saw the last two extended versions at the Cinerama Dome, and there's a thing here for Cinerama, but it's out of my reach. So you remember Cinerama Dome on Sunset and Vine. It's now part of ArcLight. I guess it played a decent role in Tarantino's film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And speaking of great films, we saw on New Year's Day, we went to see Parasite, and that's all I'm going to say about it, but it was outstanding and an incredible roller coaster ride. So Lord of the Rings was written between 1937, which was even before I was born, and when did I say? The Hobbit was 1937. And Lord of the Rings, he started writing in 1937 and took through 1949 and published in 1954 through 1955. It is the best-selling novel of all time, selling, at least when this report was done, over 150 million copies. I believe the only thing that outsold to that was, or Lord of the Rings, was the Bible. And Tolkien, was known as the father of modern fantasy literature. So we'll do a couple of his quotes, and then we'll probably have to take a break again. But his quotes, let me give you a couple of quotes. Not all those who wonder are lost. And I think you can use that wonder in a couple different ways because, as you hear me on the radio, I do have trouble with focus. That means I wander around in my mind, and I think that's a good thing. And this probably is the most famous line, I believe. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. And courage is found in unlikely places, even here on the radio. So I'm going to let it go, and we'll come back again, and we'll talk a little more. And have a great 5 minutes. Bye bye. Oh, there's that song again. I do know the name of that, but I forgot about lipstick and cocktails or something like that. In any case, I was gonna, but like I said, I just walked in, so I was gonna ask Sean to find music from Pete Kelly's Blues, but I'm too late on that. But maybe we'll catch up. So I was tripping on this because the punctuation I had put down here was discorrect. Let me repeat that again. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. Okay. Now, Tolkien's ancestors were middle-class craftsmen who made and sold pianos, clocks, and watches. And speaking of the list of 100 best novels of the 20th century, Watchmen is on there now, and that was a graphic novel. Sean, did you read Watchmen or see the movie?
I saw the movie. I didn't read it.
I read it, and I like both, but they changed it a bit for the movie. But it's amazing stuff to read in there. So it needs to be done, and it is no wonder that it is listed as one of the 100 best novels of the 20th century. But before I tell you who else had a birthday, I'll remind you that this is the Educated Retirement Radio here on KMET 1490, where you can give me a call anytime you want on that phone number right there, 866-955-2233, 866-955-2233, or just email bestloantoday@gmail.com. And don't forget the site with all that good stuff on it. And halfway down the front page is the YouTube link. Go there and subscribe and look at all kinds of good stuff. Anyway, Sergio Leone was also born on this day in 1929, and he shipped out in 1989. So he did some great spaghetti westerns. When you call them spaghetti westerns, it kind of loses some of them, but I mean, they were very good, other than just being spaghetti-like. Most of them that I can think of anyway, they may not be completely true, but let's just say many of them were remakes of samurai films of Akira Kurosawa, such as Good, Bad, and the Ugly, Once Upon a Time in the West. And then, of course, there's also Once Upon a Time in Hollywood now, which Sean, did you see that, by the way?
Oh, that's that new one. No, I did not.
No? Okay, well,
didn't see
I haven't
it.
either, but I will.
I've heard mixed reactions.
Yeah, I kind of am at odds with the way he changes Tarantino that way. That is, changes history. It somehow doesn't give complete, it's not like giving people their due that were actually killed in certain situations. But we won't talk about that. Let's go back and talk about A Fistful of Dollars. And that was based on a Kurosawa film called Yojimbo, which I saw first time was in a film class when I was in university. But that and the film company that Carousel was associated with actually tried suing Leone about that, but Yojimbo in turn was based on a Dashiell Hammett novel called The Red Harvest, which really is a big circle around. And The Red Harvest, Dashiell Hammett is the guy who wrote The Thin Man, which we talked about already, and of course, The Maltese Falcon. And with the spaghetti westerns, there was a collaboration with Ennio Morricone, who, and I'm going to show you some of these because I love these, and I love his music. Here is one of the older albums I have, which is some great stuff. I'm not going to mention the movies, all of them right now. Here's some more. I also have some albums of him doing classical music, but I couldn't fish them out in time. And what is this one? Oh, just an overall high western. Okay. And, oh, I got two more. The Mission, which he had done also. And we're Once Upon a Timing again. I love this movie. It's about 4 hours long. Robert De Niro as a little boy and then as an old man. A little bit longer span than he went through in, in The Irishman, but they didn't have the same CGI effects, so it was a little more makeup in this one. Anyway, Ray Milland was another one. Oh, also, just to let you know, Marconi scored over 400 movies and more than 100 classical works. So Ray Milland, 1907 to 1986. And his claim to fame, of course, Lost Weekend, which is like my wife's almost most favorite movie. But you know what? We've got Dennis waiting to join the conversation so he can talk about these movies with me, actually. So let's take our break and connect with Dennis. And I hope you're not having too much trouble on the 10 or the 60 right now like I was. Take care.
Cast.
All right, welcome back to 1490 AM, the Mighty Met, KMET, and the Educated Retirement Radio Show. And we have one of the original educators, Dennis Keithley, is with us. Say hello.
Hello, I'm still laughing, Jay. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I won't ask what you're laughing about.
No, but you said one original educator.
You know, I'm
so
you can see
not
me
sure
on
about
the
that. I
screen.
think you were the first one.
Well, you mean I'm older than anybody else you know?
No, I know some people like 77, so you're still a youngster in compared to them.
Yeah, just a kid, huh? Oh.
Yeah, you're a kid,
But
you know.
you may have missed part of this today, and a lot of this idea came from Tom Markle, who is always thinking ahead. I go by Dr. Heckham, right?
Right.
Okay, well, the doctor is not only a medical doctor, he's now graduated to become a PhD in Heckhamology.
Oh, great. Yeah, that course is
I will have to get another outfit other than my doctor's outfit. I'll have to be getting a college professor outfit.
Wow, okay.
And, we even discussed perhaps I teach at Oxford, in which case I would need a wig, right?
Oh, a powdered wig, yes.
Powdered
and you'd
wig,
have to have these specialized colors for Oxford. Very proper, you know?
No, I don't know, but I guess I could find out. Now,
Absolutely.
before we go too much further, I was talking about, we do the movies and this and that and whatever. And I got way behind, which is okay. But you can chime in too. Let me finish this because my wife put a lot of effort into this. And we actually really enjoy doing these things.
Right. Well, I heard you talk about Ray Milland, but wasn't he in The Wizard of Oz?
No.
Okay, wrong person. So you see
Yeah.
how advanced I am in movies like you and Kathleen.
Like The Lost Weekend, he won best actor. The movie won Best Picture. Billy Wilder won Best Director. And this is something that I think is really, really interesting. The liquor industry offered Paramount Studios, which is the studio that did Lost Weekend, $5 million not to release the film. For if you know what the film is about drinking too much, you know why. Dial M for Murder also came out today in 3D, and I did see it once in 3D, but not my favorite Hitchcock film, but not the worst either. Well, I don't know. I mean, there are no worst ones that I know of. And here's a real good one, The Uninvited. I don't know. Do either of you guys ever see The Uninvited with Ray Milland? And
Don't think so.
Nope.
one of the great jazz standards of all time was written by Victor Young. That's in that movie, and that's called Stella by Starlight. And, well, maybe we can pull it up another time. But then again, the two outstanding masterpieces that he was in, and these you might remember, The Man with the X-Ray Eyes and The Thing with Two Heads. Now, who was the other head? There were two heads. Rosie Greer was the second head on that. And I know you've seen that. I mean, that's real culture, okay?
Right. Well, I'm not cultured like you, Jay. What can I say?
Well, the man, the whatever with two heads, the thing with two heads, that's real culture. That gets right down to the nitty gritty. So on this day in history, 1949, Colgate Theater premiered and ran until 1958 as a 30-minute drama. And the interesting thing about that is there was one of the 30-minute dramas was actually planned to be a pilot for a regular series. And that was called The Fountain of Youth, starring and directed by Orson Welles. And it is the only attempted television series pilot that actually won the Peabody Award. And no, there was no regular show. Also, I started the show off with talking about protecting the innocent. 1952, Dragnet premiered and ran till 59, and then there were other things. Written, created, and starred Jack Webb. And each show started with the narration of George Fenneman of You Bet Your Life fame with Groucho Marx. And he also was one of the scientists in the original The Thing, which, of course, if you are a cultured person, you have seen The Thing, too, several times. But after the opening, we gave at the top of the show, Jack Friday would say, "This is the city, Los Angeles, California." And we are in this city, or nearby. And my favorite thing about Jack Webb was not Dragnet. It was a movie called Pete Kelly's Blues. He was a real jazz and blues freak, and he played himself. And he started his career playing cornet in a nightclub band and was a record collector with, what some say, he had about 6,000 records. Well, some say I have about 8,000, and I'm still going. But then again, I have more time to listen than he does, I think, because he was doing all that stuff. Aretha Franklin was the first woman, and she was in the movie too. 1987, she won, and it was her birthday. She won. She was the first woman. Let me not trip over myself. To be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Where's that thing, Kathleen? because I'm sure Dennis doesn't want to yap all that time. We got this autograph of her, and of course my wife loves autographs, so she put it in a frame like this. But we cornered her in Central Park, and she was parked out because she had her bus parked out there. She never flew, so she'd have her big RV, which she took around to anyone. She taught herself on the piano, never knew how to read music, and she performed at 3 different inaugurations. So there. So NASA also named an asteroid after her. So I've had some things named after me, but they weren't asteroids. But what can I say? How about you, Dennis?
Oh, there's a lot of famous Dennises out there. That's like why I kept asking my parents, why did you name me Dennis? And all I could figure is Dennis Day. There's Dennis Amici. That was about it. So, and I always say it was a double N because I'm American. If it was a single N, I'd be British. But, I always clarify.
I only met one guy with a single N. I never knew it existed, but the guy was Irish, actually. Irish Catholic priest, say. But yeah, it was one N, and it's the first time I had realized it was that one N's existed. But tell us, you've been working with reverse mortgages and more in the mortgage industry for how many years?
17, 18 years.
Okay. And you are just a kid then.
I'm just a pup. I'm a pup.
Recently made a move, right?
Yeah, I made the move back home here to Central California back in April.
Yeah. And how are you finding it out there? How are you finding the market for reverse mortgages and finance and the whole thing going in that area?
It's unique. I'm glad I came back. I had a couple of aha moments. I went over to San Jose for a meeting on a weekend, and that drive over Pacheco Pass and then coming into Gilroy. And as an old barn kid, I could relate with all of the barns and the cows and the horses. So that was like, I was sort of glad to be back home. As far as the market itself, it's not like it is here in Southern California. The average house is about $318.
That's a Fresno accent, hoose?
Yeah, the hoose, that's correct. Ammons. And so the market is a lot different. So it's probably about a third of the prices down there in Orange County.
Well, there's a lot of places like that. I'm not so sure that those places are cheaper. It's that some other places are more money than they should be, maybe.
But what is happening, though, a lot of people from Southern California, but since we're closer to San Francisco, a lot of people from San Francisco are now buying homes in Fresno because they're still, extremely affordable, or you can get a duplex or a fourplex and make some money off it. So the realty board that I go to on Fridays, the investor, he's a young guy that's 77, so I do know someone a couple of days on you. Anyway, he's
still alive
upset
too, huh?
because all the people from Northern California are taking all of the property away from the people here in Fresno, the local Valleyites. So he gets a little bit upset about that.
I think you've got some land out there. I think they could build some more.
There's a lot of controversy now as far as how to build, like Clovis, which is northeast of Fresno. Actually, it's almost become a suburb or attached to one another. They recently passed some laws, so they're trying to get up to like 30 homes on an acre. So they're really trying to stack them in, and then you have the little houses, the ADUs that are really big. So Clovis has passed a law where you can get the little 500 house, that can be attached or as a second home on property. And so you're sort of seeing that. So the biggest issue, or a couple of issues, but is just there are not enough rental properties here in the Fresno Clovis area. So you're having the rental prices have gone up substantially recently. So,
So
a lot of
it's not a
people,
bad market for someone to go get him or her, or themselves a rental duplex or whatever with a reverse mortgage and have absolutely no payment except taxes. And well, you can even include that, and so in depending on how old you are and what the values are, and then get income off, no payment, but income off the other unit. Now, I wouldn't tell my neighbor in that other unit that I owned it. I would say that you owned it. So if there was a problem, they'd call you. But there are management companies that'll take care of that. So I think I would never tell the renter. I would just pretend I were another renter. What do you think? But
that's
those
a
are
good way
great
to go. But
opportunities.
but you're paying like a substantial amount of money then for a company, a property management service. I'm not sure what it is, but just
I don't
to
think
have
it's
one
that much
unit.
for a single unit or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't.
know, but I'll ask that question when I see the people on Tuesday at the Realty Board.
Yeah.
I don't have a clue.
Now,
But
the areas around here. Now, I know that around Fresno and the other city that you mentioned, I already forgot. There was industry there. Anyway, there was, the Great Central Valley. There was farming, crops, and there's industry, if nothing
correct,
else. So,
correct.
so out in areas in Southern California, let's say, Riverside, Beaumont, any of the Inland Empire, Merino. Remember Merino Valley? What's that?
Yeah, we were out
That's
there a
called
couple of years
something else
ago to
now,
see you
right?
guys.
That's I was going to say. I'm just bringing that up for old people.
Oh, and the citrus lady. Remember our citrus lady, the grapefruit
Yeah.
lady.
Yeah, I thought of her today because I was out. Actually, a little bit further. I was out in Rancho Mirage, and anyway, yeah, I thought of those grapefruits. But yeah, anyway, but now Palm Springs is a little different, all that because of the Gulf and the destination of people that had a lot of money for a second home or a vacation or a getaway. But sorry.
Yeah, no, our destinations here would be like Yosemite. There's also Bass Lake, is maybe an hour drive north of Fresno. Then you go up to Sequoia.
But places like Riverside, San Bernardino, Colton, and out, they became popular. And of course, there was industry in some of those. But I think what really bumped them up was people coming from L.A. To buy something they could afford. And now you see so much in the way of retired people coming. And that's really put the areas in the Inland Empire even higher up on the map. So that sounds like the same thing is happening in the greater Fresno area. A lot of people are retiring and going to where it's less expensive to live and sometimes live just as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, like you said, the Fresno area, we're the basket of the world. Like over 300 different crops and so on and so forth. Everyone thinks the Fresno is hot, but it also gets cold. But we used to have cotton, so you don't have too much cotton. But I think almonds, nuts are the number one crop, and then raisins are right up there. We do have a lot of dairies, so it's a really diversified.
You guys grow cows too?
Yeah, we have coos. The Scottish coos for you.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about cows today, and I mentioned that I really do like to eat vegetarian. I do like to eat cows, so
When was the last time you ate vegetarian, Jay?
Hey, it's a part of every meal.
Okay,
and actually,
remember Lux.
if you want to push
that was vegetarian Lux.
My background in biology, I mean, if you eat a cow or a chicken, those things are a product of a plant. So, plants produce all those other things. So there you go. But sometimes, I know we weren't going to talk about this, sometimes I really don't like seeing things like a veggie burger. I like veggies. I love veggies. Why do you have to make it look like something else? But so be it.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. The commercials now with whoever it is with the veggie burger just tastes like a normal burger, but with
Well, that's
veggie.
Burger King is doing that.
It's almost like the
Things
tea.
like that. But
Coca-Cola.
anyway, I think that the area, you think the area is going to start to boom because of
Oh, it's
retirees?
booming already. Just the expansion is phenomenal. Probably the next 5 or 10 years, just north of us is Madera County, and they're planning a city of about 120,000 people. So the
I'm
biggest
sorry, I
challenge
didn't know you were going to be on the phone. I thought you were going to be on Skype, but I have a picture of you that I
Uh-oh.
could have sent Sean, and that could have been on the screen, but so be it.
Okay. Yeah.
Nobody wants to see you anyway. You got a haircut.
Now I'm ugly. I'd break the camera. So anyway, but so anyway, there's a lot of developments here, and it's really expanded the whole valley, just growing like
Now,
crazy.
do you think,
Yeah.
what proportion of those do you think are retirees moving out there?
I really don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
That
what
would be a big thing for reverse mortgages, right?
Right. Yeah, a lot
Now,
of them
you're
is
probably
that,
too, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're probably too far away from a major industrial hub to, like the Inland Empire got a lot of people because they worked in LA and Orange counties. And even San Diego and those areas, that's not what Fresno is about, right? They're not close enough to.
it's changing. Amazon just opened up a hub, so they added a couple thousand workers there. And there's
How far are you from San Francisco area, the general area?
It's about 3.5 hour drive.
Okay, that's a little too far. But I don't know. They don't have. Well, they do have a train, don't they?
Oh yeah, no, we
Sure
have
they
trains, but you'd have fun watching them. Yeah, they interrupt as it goes through town, so it causes interruptions about half a dozen plus times a day if you're in the wrong part of the area.
But of course, they're trying to build that bullet train, which I think would be wonderful because then I could come and visit anytime.
Sure.
Have lunch, come home, go to San Francisco for lunch, come home.
Oh yeah.
When I was much younger, I used to do that. I used to fly there. It used to be like $25 round trip or something.
Wow.
From Orange, so I used to just go there for lunch sometimes with some other friends. But those days are gone.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
So out of San Francisco, they have, there's Stockton.
Right.
And there's, there's the other areas, like there's a Pittsburgh there, right?
Yeah, there's Pittsburgh at East Bay, but then you have Concord, and you have Danville in the Bay Area coming down.
Antioch.
Yeah.
And those are all along the water, right? So there's something kind of nice about that.
Well, Stockton has the port. Then you have Modesto, the Gallo family of the Familia. And that's growing quite a bit. So you have these little pockets that are just sort of exploding, that are becoming commuter cities to the Bay or even Los Baños, which is about an hour's drive.
I know not only Amtrak, but they have BART goes to Pittsburgh and now to Antioch. So, and that's for, commuting, right?
Yeah. No, that's great. And you like trains, and I think we talked about BART before. I remember as a kid.
They even have trains going up to Santa Rosa now.
Oh, man. Oh.
But I'm not sure if that's a retirement area or not. Well, up in the hills it is, of course. Except for the Bohemian Grove, which is another story. Speaking of stories, I've been reading a bunch of articles. I get your opinion about how the Heckham, they blame the Heckham for everything. People are losing their house. We lost Grandma's house because she had a reverse mortgage. They blame everything on that. Now, did Grandma really lose her house? Probably not. Was there a loan on it when she passed away? Yes, there was the reverse mortgage. If there wasn't a reverse mortgage, would there be a regular loan on it? Maybe. But what about the money? Grandma wouldn't have had a balance on that reverse mortgage unless she needed the money herself. So, I mean, in most of these cases, if there's a problem because there's a loan on a property, it's because it's a loan on a property, not because it's a reverse mortgage on a property. So, even if no money at all is owed on a property, and it's free and clear, you can still lose your home because, if you don't pay the taxes and you don't have insurance and it burns down. So, these are just made up reasons to try to bring sympathy to people, whereas it's actually, the best thing that can happen to people. And as we were talking today, and as Wade Pfau said in his last book that Tom had brought to my attention, the advice is to take out a reverse mortgage, take out a HECM. It's not like you're taking out a loan, you're taking out a HECM. It's giving you open access to your own equity. It's open equity. So there.
Mm-hmm. Well, like you said, though, unfortunately, the people or the papers have to blame it on somebody. So, we're like a rug that gets stomped on all the time, or a second or third cousin. So if something's wrong, they always blame it on the reverse mortgage without going further in depth.
Yeah, without even looking what the reason may have been, or what good the reverse mortgage brought.
Yeah, they always forget that because there was a reason, and they forget the reason. Why did someone really want this great product for someone 62 years and older? And it helped them out at the time, and that was one of the purpose. And you had Phil Walker talking.
Or just take, like we said, just take it out, put it on the shelf. You don't even have to. You never have to use it.
Right.
But if there's a need, what are you going to do about it? You're going to have a place to take funds and actually preserve more equity than you would have otherwise. Mm-hmm. Unless they're going to be like you and me and never get sick,
Right. Rarely get sick. That's right. Well, that too, and it's just it's a fantastic product. Like you said, too. People have got to know about it first, rather than just poo-poo it. I don't like that. Just hey, let's discuss it. Why do you say that? What do you really know about the product? And it's really just getting down and what are you saying? Why do you say that? What have you heard about it? And then once you get down and explain it, then a lot of people, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So, the last 10 years has been education, and we're still, same questions come up again. The bank owns the home. My kids will lose the inheritance. You have to be debt-free to get it. It's only for the poor folk. So we get, same questions keep coming over and over again. It sort of gets very redundant. So that's why we have to keep educating people about this great product.
I heard a great plan today, which I don't think we're going to have time to go through, but about somebody that's got, $10 million in the bank or maybe more. We lose track of those zeros sometimes. And has, several kids and several grandchildren and want to help them all out in a tax-free way. Mm-hmm. And he had a great... Anyway, you know what? I'm looking at the time, and I can't believe it's that late already. It is that late, isn't it, Sean? Less than a minute? Well...
No, we have way too much, we're having way too much fun. This party's going to have to continue on, Jay.
Yeah, and let me go back to I thought was that great quote of Tolkien. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. And I'll say goodbye and Happy New Year to Dennis. And we'll have to have you back. And I will leave you with that same old saying that Kaplan will be here in front of the same cigar store on the same corner next
Well, there's
week.
A Kaplan's Deli.
You've been listening to the Educated Retirement Show with Jay Kaplan. Tune in every Friday at 3 p.m. to learn more about your mortgage and reverse mortgages. And don't forget, each show is also podcasted on the KMET website.